We have talked about how there is a specific race going on around crypto, and that's the stablecoin race. We have been locked in on stablecoins for a very long time, and a lot of people get bored by stablecoin discussions. However, I really do think that stablecoins are probably one of the biggest things that we could focus on for this entire space. If we want to see the crypto market cap itself go from, let's just say 4 trillion. I know that we're not trading at 4 trillion anymore, but we'll just say $4 trillion to 40 trillion. We want to have stablecoins become a much bigger piece of the global financial system because, again, as stablecoins grow in demand and as stablecoins become even bigger, the main thing that we focus on is how much pressure that puts on all of these big players to finally switch up. And that's exactly what we're now starting to see. In 2025 alone, we watched as US banks, major US banks, top tier banks, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citi, etc., all say, guess what? We want to launch a stablecoin. We want to get a part of the pie as well because they were witnessing how much growth was in this market, how much money's being made, and they wanted a slice. And now we're starting to see it even around the world. European banks seize on region's nascent stablecoin market with new launch. A 9-bank consortium, including UniCredit, ING, and SEB, have unveiled plans for a new euro-backed stablecoin. The launch is expected next year. It follows a growing push for digital payment autonomy in the region amid US market dominance. Citi projects that global stablecoin issuance volumes will hit 1.9 trillion by 2030. Again, if we're thinking about what's happening here, we are watching as stablecoins become a absolute massive piece of the global financial system. This is no longer about crypto. It's about disrupting the status quo. Having stablecoins integrated into the global financial system is now a big thing. It's happening. It's no longer us speculating on it. No, stablecoins are now starting to be integrated into the global financial system. And guess who it's by? Big banks. The big banks are jumping in. Now, this announcement follows a growing push for a greater digital payment autonomy in Europe as US market dominance grows amid support from the Trump administration. The European Central Bank is in the process of developing a digital version of the euro, while the UK Treasury has said it will bring forward legislation on crypto assets, including stablecoins, before the year end. That's right. We're watching as the stablecoin race is heating up. And what's crazy about this is we have over here from September 17th, this is from the World Economic Forum, how the US Genius Act and the EU's MiCA signal transatlantic convergence on crypto rules. So this is showing us that the US and the EU are going to start to really work towards, harmonization of these laws and these regulations. This is something that we have talked about on multiple occasions, how we need a harmonization approach. We need this convergence to happen because we can't have different regulations for every single nation. No, we need to ensure that we have a big convergence happen where we have that harmonized approach where we could start to see the world align on crypto and crypto regulations. Now, what's funny about this is we just witnessed the US and the UK form a task force to align on crypto and capital markets. We just talked about this because, again, who was a major player behind this? Casey Craddock, which is from Ripple. This is a Ripple employee that was a big piece of this task force, which is crazy to think about. Now, on top of this, the EU. Let's think about the EU because the US and the UK are now forming a task force. The US and the EU are starting to converge in terms of crypto rules. And now the EU, on September 26th, put out a post preparing for the future of payments and money, the role of research and innovation. This is from a member of the ECB's executive board, and this is titled at the conference, The Future of Payments, CBDC, digital assets, and digital capital markets. In this age of accelerated change, digitalization is redrawing the map of finance and payments. It's imperative to make sure that this transformation translates into genuine innovations that improve people's lives and the efficiency of our economies while preserving financial stability. In that respect, dialogue between research and policy is not just a nice to have, it is a necessity. So now we're starting to see central banks around the world make the shift and tell us that, guess what? We are working to enable settlements of DLT transactions in central bank money in the course of next year. That's right. This is with a digital euro, because they now realize that they are falling behind. We need that rapid transformation happening now. We need to lock in. We need to accelerate this because there's no more time to sit around waiting. We go down here. Let me explain how we have been using research in these modernization efforts. I will cover three main topics, focusing mainly on retail payments, as I've discussed our vision for innovation in wholesale payments on other occasions. First, I will discuss how research guides us as we adjust to technological changes, showing us how central bank money has continuously evolved to bring innovation while anchoring stability. Second, I will talk about how research informs our understanding of the way digitalization is transforming not just the role of public and private money, but also the structure of retail payment markets. And finally, I will discuss how research helps us to look forward, anticipate risk, and seize opportunities as we shape the future of central bank money. This is everything that we have talked about. We are watching as everything gets shaken up by stablecoins. And what's crazy about this is Ripple has been a part of this since day one. Here we have from Christine Lagarde. It was a pleasure to welcome Paul Atkins, the chairman of the US SEC at the ECB. Because again, we are witnessing that harmonization approach from the US to the UK to the EU. And what's funny about this is Caroline D. Pam was recently at a conference, and it's the golden age of America. The US is charting a new future for crypto regulation. And Ripple is one of the key players being tagged here, and we could see this event. This is titled Navigating Global Crypto Regulation and Practice, Institutional Readiness in a Fragmented World. Like, we are witnessing everyone prepare for the big moment. The big moment where we have full-on regulations for crypto. Look at the names here. We have the US CFTC, Mysten Labs, Ripple with the global co-head of policy, and we also have Coinbase with the head of APAC policy. Again, Ripple is in the middle of every single discussion. And talking about this, going back to this image, we know that Ripple has met with Caroline D. Pam on multiple occasions. We also know that Christine Lagarde was at that private meeting with Ripple back in like 2016, 2017. But also the focus here is the SEC, because we know that the SEC and the CFTC are now joining together to make sure that they have a harmonized approach on regulations for crypto. This got announced on September 5th. This roundtable was incoming on the 29th, which, is essentially today. But beyond that, what's crazy about all of this is Christine Lagarde knows about Ripple. Here we have from Riz XRP. Ripple is ready.
Digital currency is what I'm referring to. I tell you what we are seeing, and it changes so fast in a matter of 1 year. The crypto assets at large have lost about 85% of their value in a matter of 1 year. What we are seeing at the moment is what Carlos was referring to, which is development into new technologies that will actually change the way in which intermediation is conducted, eliminate some of the barriers, including the unconscious biases that exist out there. And I think in the banking system at large, in many countries, the difference will not be between those who are disrupted and those who survive, but it will be between those who are cannibalized because they are not seeing it coming and they're not embracing it, and those who self-induce that cannibalization. And I'm using cannibalization on purpose because it's a bit of a striking, horrible word. But it's really what it means. It's you're going to disrupt your business model, you're going to change it, you're going to reduce your costs, you are going to expedite your transactions, and you're going to continue to inspire confidence because you will build that on the basis of an existing backbone, which is your bank and the confidence relationship that you've established with your customers. So that's where I see changes happening now. If you think of Circle and Ripples and all those, that's where they are active and helpful.
And when you think of Circle and Ripple, again, when we think about these individuals and what's happening now with the ECB, making the shift to telling us exactly what's coming, which is the fact that we're witnessing the dawn of the new financial system, all crafted through stablecoins, DLT. Again, we go back to what Ripple has been always focused on. Ripple has always been focused on the Internet of Value, which is the new financial system. What's even crazier about this, though, is the timing of some of these announcements. What announcements am I talking about? March 5th, 2025. Expanding digital asset adoption across the EU. This is from Ripple's website. Modernizing cross-border payments between Portugal and Brazil. Recently, there was an announced partnership between Ripple and Unicambio. Now, this was the first in Portugal from Ripple, and this is all based around modernizing cross-border payments. But this is the latest milestone in part with Ripple's growing momentum in Europe as the region capitalizes on the implementation of MiCA and its increasing importance to expanded adoption of digital asset services. Now, this was just one of many big moves, because if we look down here as well, this is only the latest example of Ripple's growing presence in Europe. Ripple Custody partnered up with European-based banks like DZ Bank, BBVA, and the addition of Societe Generale's new stablecoin to the XRP ledger as well, which, yes, if you guys don't know, Societe Generale is still launching EURV on the XRP ledger. We also know that Schumann Financial's EuroP is another first MiCA-compliant Euro stablecoin integrated onto the XRP ledger. That got announced on May 22nd. But going back over here, we also have, a few additional announcements based around Europe with Ripple. But it's also the fact that Europe has always been a key market for Ripple. They've always been focused on this market. And what's crazy about this is the readiness of Ripple. It's almost too perfect. It's almost too perfect. And it always, to me, it's something that it's not by coincidence. It can't be by coincidence. Like even when it comes to the UK and the EU, right? So we know that the UK is now forming this task force. Ripple was a part of this, right? Casey Craddock, an employee from Ripple, was at this roundtable that really kind of formed this task force. This was huge. But then we also know that the EU is converging with the US on crypto rules. And we also know that the EU is now going crazy with stablecoins. What about this announcement from June 5th of 2024? Ripple partnered up with Clear Junction to enhance UK and EU cross-border payments. Again, who's the employee behind this? Casey Craddock. It's crazy to me how perfect all of this is aligned around Ripple. I know that we sound crazy. When you think about anyone that's talking about XRP or it's a big believer in XRP and Ripple, they typically sound crazy. They say, oh, but all of this was planned ahead of time. All of this is connected. This is what I mean by it, though. Like, sure, you can call us crazy. You could say, all right, Nick, you're insane if you think all of this is, planned out. And if you think Ripple's a part of all of this. Think about it logically, right? We go back to 2023, where in the summer, we get XRP cleared as not a security. This is from Judge Torres. 1 month later, Ripple gets added to the BIS's cross-border payments task force. Okay, that's a big deal. Now, prior to that, because again, we look at the events. That was a catalyst, all right? That was a catalyst after the fact that, XRP got cleared, so there wasn't really a huge scrutinization surrounding Ripple. Well, we go back to December of 2022, just a few months prior. Guess who's at Ripple's offices? That's right, Caroline D. Pem from the CFTC. All right, well, let's fast forward to December of 2022. Ripple is able to comment on the FSB's global harmonized regulatory frameworks for crypto while in the middle of a lawsuit. Guess who's on the board of directors at the FSB? Gary Gensler. I mean, guys, this is what I mean by the connections. That's why when we look at these announcements in the timeline here, I don't believe that this is a coincidence that we're now starting to see the EU really push forward and accelerate their digital, asset adoption and, the discussions based around them as well. And now they want to get behind stablecoins in a big way. We're now starting to see EU banks launching a stablecoin. It just feels too, perfect. It's way too perfect for us to say, oh, it's just a coincidence. Ripple is just a, typical blockchain company. No, they are a part of the big show here. They are a big enabler of this new financial system. They always have been. They are the ones that really coined the Internet of Value term. And ever since, we have been building towards that. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, set notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.